administration, the Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem, and the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem. Now, I have already stated that as president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable.
Be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you from all these arrows, and the sword I wield will keep you from danger. Let me be your shield.
Royce White is speaking truth to power.
We will not give up a single rank guaranteed under the Constitution.
You know I'm always going to talk about the real things. Okay. Free the Uyghurs.
If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
Let me be your shield, let me be your shield.
What's wrong in this country is our sense of American citizenship is lost. It's lost in convenience.
Let me be your shield, let me be
Convenience will be the death of freedom. This is my show. And on my show, I control the conversation. Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. In the cold open there, you saw Barack Obama doing his best America First impression back in 2008 when he ran against Hillary Clinton in the presidential primary. They had a debate there, I believe. I believe it was 2008 because of how young he looked. By his second term, he was already stressed out and turning gray, probably from all the lies and secrets he was carrying. But America first, sometimes when it's beneficial for the Democrats and when we say we want to close the border, it's taxing the American people. All of a sudden, we're extremists and racist and fascist and xenophobic and everything else. And we could talk about Democrats all day long. They're a really easy bunch to target. But as we often do on this show, and we have to do today, seeing that we had a budget put forward, voted on in the United States Senate, which I ran for in the 2024 cycle, had a lot of Republicans here in the state of Minnesota say, oh, he's unelectable. You know, he's too extreme. Amy Klobuchar is a great senator. She gets a lot of things done. You know, she goes to all the cookie bakes and takes pictures and whatnot. And this is the issue. This is the problem. And you all got to remember this come 2026. And not 2026, you need to remember it right now. You need to, start taking names right now. So we're just going to name the names this morning to start the show. This comes from Rand Paul, straight from Rand Paul's X account. He says, just tried to put President's Doge foreign aid cuts into law. 27 Republicans voted to cut foreign aid, but 26 Republicans and all Democrats voted to keep funding foreign aid at Biden levels. What a disappointment. Those who voted with me, I'm not even going to say, because that's not so much important. But here are the people who voted against. You got Barrasso in Wyoming. You got Boozman in Arkansas. Capito, West Virginia. Cassidy, Louisiana. Collins, Maine. Shocker. Kramer, North Dakota. Crapo in Idaho. Fisher, Nebraska. Graham, South Carolina. Another shocker. Grassley, Iowa. I remember somebody bringing up Grassley's name to me as though he was a standard bearer for the MAGA movement or one of. And Grassley says some good things, but I can't tell you how many times during my debate with Amy Klobuchar, she referenced her bipartisan work with Grassley. Hoven, North Dakota. Hyde Smith, Missouri. Langford, Oklahoma. McConnell, Kentucky. McCormick, Pennsylvania. Moran, Kansas. Mullen, Oklahoma. Murkowski, Alaska. Ricketts, Nebraska. Round, South Dakota. Scott, South Carolina. Tim Scott, who everybody seems to love, South Carolina. Sullivan, Arkansas. Oh, sorry, Alaska. Thune, South Dakota. Tillis, North Carolina. Wicker, Missouri. Young, Indiana. I mean, these people all voted with the Democrats to keep the foreign aid spending exactly where it was during the Biden administration. And when we say the global effects to local, post-World War II Democrat liberal order, you're living under a D.C. Uni-Party of globalism and whatnot. I mean, we could say it until the cows come home, but the proof is really in the pudding. It's right there in the names. They're not shy about it. And what's even more scary is I get the sense that out of the 27 or so Republicans that voted with Rand Paul to cut the foreign spending, about half of them are only doing it because they're afraid of the MAGA movement. They're afraid of you. And the awareness is happening. You know, it's on. I mean, people understand what we're looking at. The question is, are we going to keep a good enough accounting to hold these people accountable? That's the question. And we all know what the problem is, or at least I hope we do. So we could talk about the Democrats and these cultural wedge issues until the cows come home. And there's plenty of room to do that. Again, I never want to say that the culture isn't an issue. In fact, you know, the culture is upstream from politics. I believe that. So the culture is a problem. But the cultural wedge issues are often promoted far more than the nuts and bolts, than the system issues, like how the money works in the budget. And here we have a Republican Senate, and everybody celebrated. We all cheered. We won. Way to go, Republicans. And as soon as a real line item comes across the desk, and as soon as a real fiscal or budgetary type of issue is put to the vote, we got the usual suspects that vote with the Uni-Party. I mean, and how many times do you have to see it? Honestly, the people of South Carolina, and I've never been a fan of Tim Scott, to be quite honest. I was through with Tim Scott when they were in the presidential primary, and he said that we needed to be ready that our military needed to be ready to fight a war on three fronts in Asia at all times. I mean, I knew who Tim Scott was right then and there. And, you know, people like him, and he's so well spoken, and I'm sure he's going to get you on all the cultural wedge issues, whether it be, you know, abortion or the LGBTQ or BLM. I'm sure he has a lot to say about it. You get right down to the money, and Tim Scott votes with the Uni-Party. I mean, anybody, if Murkowski or Collins or McConnell are going to vote on something one way, your safest bet, like playing the stock market and insider trading, your best bet is to vote the opposite. However Murkowski and McConnell and Collins vote, you vote with the opposition. I don't even, if it's Democrats, it could be Democrats. You know, in this case, it ends up being that the Democrats, vis-a-vis how corrupt they really are, they vote with, you know, to keep the spending at the same level. I mean, it's so ironic. We could go on about them all day. Their contradiction is blatant. That's why I don't spend much time. It's obnoxious. That's why they would never have me on MSNBC or CNN. They don't invite me on those programs to try and humiliate me or to try and, corner me, because they know that I play the game at too high a level. I'm going to go straight to the heart of the issue. And, you know, you got these climate change Democrats, environmentalist Democrats, electric vehicles, you know, carbon emission zero in 10 years. And the biggest producer of electric vehicles in the entire world is their enemy number one. You know, they're vandalizing Teslas out in the street. I mean, that's obvious. This is the not so obvious. This is what we're fighting inside the Republican Party. This is what's important. This is why the precinct strategy is important. This is why today, after I get done on the show here, I'll be going to 2 or 3 places in the state of Minnesota as the BPOU conventions start to take place and the party starts to reform for the 26 midterms. And I'm going to go and preach a message, and I'm going to read them the list. They only give me about 3 or 4 minutes to speak, and I'm going to read them the list. And you know, we'll see what they think about, Speaker John Thune. You know, we said it. We said who this guy is. We all knew it. You know, this doesn't even shock me. Well, what shocks me, to be honest, in a positive sense, is that the MAGA movement's become so strong. There's a good number of people on the other side of this list, Republicans that did vote to cut the spending as they should, who I know aren't actually America First. They're just hiding over there because they're afraid of the MAGA movement in their respective constituencies. It's just like Pete Stauber here in Minnesota. He's got such a conservative voting record, right? He's the I don't know. He's the prototypical conservative, whatever the case may be. I mean, you know, you go right in there and read what he says about Ukraine funding, and he essentially says, hey, it's a really tough issue for me when it comes to Ukraine funding. I would fund the Ukraine, but my constituents overwhelmingly are not in support of this war. What he's saying is, I would love to fund the Ukraine war with the rest of you Uni-Party freaks. But if I do, I'll get voted out in my district, so I can't do it. Sorry. This is a political move. And there are a lot of people like that in the 27 who voted to cut the spending, which tells you again, like I've been saying since the beginning of my 26, well, now it's 26, but my 2024 campaign, there is a America First crisis in the United States Senate. I don't know if there are 10 reliable America First votes throughout the entire legislative body. And I mean that honestly. We're going to be talking about that and much more over the course of today's show. You got War Room coming up at the top of the hour with the great Steve Bannon. But for right now, you got me, your host, Royce White, in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Again, you're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. Uni-Party, Uni-Party, Uni-Party. You got to say it 3 times like Beetlejuice. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. Stay tuned for more in a moment.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
You too can feel better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Call or go online now for our 3-week quick start, just $19.95.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus canvas tote bag.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
In a crisis, your number one need is food. But here's the good news. 4 Patriots is offering a special buy one, get 2 free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. Hurry, go to 4patriots.com now.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe. with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com today and get 50% off.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. We had a vote on the budget, and we have found a good number of Republicans voting to keep the spending the exact same way it was, in opposition, already early opposition to some of DOJ's recommendations on foreign aid spending. These people claim to be in support of Donald Trump. They ran their campaigns in support of Donald Trump. They waved the flag in support of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. All you got to do is take the names. Take the names. Remember, come 2026, somebody primary these people. I mean, you know, and part of the reason people don't want to primary a Mitch McConnell is because he has so much money. And that's a huge factor is how much money he's throwing around there in D.C. But it's not all about the money. I tell people all the time, especially since I ran a campaign in 24 and now going to go again in 26, you got to take the money with a grain of salt. You got to believe that people will hear and understand the truth. And you have to be willing to take a multiple election run at some of these individuals who have a lot of money. That's the only reasonable way, tactical way to go about it. So I'm not saying money's not important, but if we wait for the money, then we'll never get these people out. They're controlling the money. And that brings up another point I was thinking about in the last couple of weeks. I had a conversation with somebody about the economy because I'm one of those debt hawk kind of guys. And, you know, I said that at the highest level, and this may blow some people's minds out there, at the highest level of corruption, especially the way that our economy runs in this country, communism and capitalism is the exact same thing. That may come as a shock to some out there. You say, oh, communism and capitalism, what do you mean? I mean, we're like the prototypical, proud to be a capitalist nation, in vain of the Friedmans of the world and the Thomas Sowells and everybody else. And these guys were incredible, brilliant minds. And if you go back and you listen to them, they were more in favor of a real free market capitalism, which we definitely don't necessarily practice here in this country. We practice a version of free market capitalism, but it's much more turned into crony capitalism. Vis-a-vis my point right now, when I say that the neocons and many of these rhinos are communists, people go, well, what do you mean? This person's a conservative. This person's a Republican. Why are you saying they're a communist? It just so happens socioeconomics transcends party politics. And when you get down to the root of many issues, you find here with the socialist style of voting in the United States Senate what the real game is. The real game is about the money. The money, the money, the money. Show me the money. I love what Doge is doing because they're showing us the money. What do I mean? At the highest level of corruption, communism and capitalism are the exact same. How? When you have a capitalist economy and you socialize all of the risk, you've created a socialist form of economics. And some people would argue, oh, well, there's a bit of socialism in every economy because there are the people who are downtrodden who we have to, pick up the cost for whatever reason. And I get it. I'm not saying that all of that should go away. But what I am saying is when you allow the federal government, your elected officials, your governing bodies, your legislative bodies to conspire with your financial institutions and print money on the backs of the working class to completely socialize the risk of the financial sector, you've created a communist economy. I mean, you guys can talk about the profits and the margins and everything else that you want to about Wall Street and these multinational corporations and blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is when you socialize the risk of the financial sector, you've created a communist form of economy. And at the highest level, vis-a-vis your most radical left Democrats and your staunchly religious conservatives, you find bipartisanship. They're in agreement. No, we got to keep the spending the same. We got to keep printing money. And they're going to say it again with the debt ceiling. I guarantee it. We got to keep spending money. We can't rein it in. How can we rein it in now? We got one goal in mind. We got to get over the horizon, the hurdle, the competitive curve of technology. We can't curb our spending. Sorry, the American people are going to have to take it on the chin. They're going to have to deal with it. They're going to have to bear the brunt of our socialized, and what we say is we're experts. We know better than you do. That's the problem with these communist and proto-socialist regimes. They think they know better than everybody else. And they tend to have very strange ideas about how people live or how people want to live. Completely detached, completely out of touch with reality. Do you want to be able to just, have a little bit of retirement, live a life, buy a house, maybe one day, have a piece of property, a little corner of the earth that you work hard for, you keep up, and it just brings you a little bit of peace. You want to be able to have that, or do you want to be able to do brain transplants? Brain bridge. We're going to detach your head and put it on another body. Maybe you were born 5'9", but we're going to find a 6'9", 6'8" cadaver like Royce. We're going to take your head and put it on his body. Which one is more important? I don't know. Maybe some of you are adventurous out there and you're just like, we got to have this scientific, technocratic journey. I don't get it. But what my point is, what you would think that the whole idea of conservatism or to be conservative is to be humble and appreciative and grateful for some of the small, just beautiful things in our society and life, and cherish those and protect those and curb our ambitions. And our ideas of grandeur. Do we have to, and this speaks to Elon Musk as well in some sense. Do we have to go live on Mars? Is that really the priority? Is it really, really necessary for us to go live on Mars? I know it sounds cool. And I really actually like Elon Musk's explanation for that. He said, you got to give people something to hope for and to strive for. And that's great. But are we humble enough and smart enough and wise enough to have the basics down and have the basics in a reasonable place? I think Elon Musk understands it. I actually do. And we have great disagreements on many issues, especially the visas and sort of his own proto-globalist mentality. Even that's a way to socialize and I like Elon Musk. And then I think the president's doing a great job in tapping him to help out and advise in some places where he's being, useful. But even that sort of proto-socialist is, let's see how he feels about printing the money when it comes to SpaceX and how much of the government contracts or government spending go to SpaceX. Do we all need to chip in to be able to go to Mars? I don't really want to. Now, what I do like is the idea of no taxes whatsoever, anybody who's under $150,000 a year. And oh, by the way, the Democrats did vote down a bill that would have no taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. This is who those people are, by the way. And I guess these other Republicans who voted with them. No, I mean, their elitism is on full display. And they're so arrogant, they think you can't see it. They think the technology has gotten so good, which in many cases it has. Most average American citizens spending 60% of their time online. And then I don't mean to be a stickler here. I'm not, they're not reading the Federal Register, okay? They're not keeping up with the John Thunes of the world. They're not there online in the sword fights and all of these echo chambers and message boards and everything else where these new political culture wars and policy battles are happening. They're not doing the Steve Bannon online, let's say. Steve Bannon's probably spending 50 to 60% of his time online as well, but I guarantee you in a much different way. 60% of your time, the average American citizen, is being spent online. Least I say, a problem. There's a bunch of other things I could find for you to be doing. But the point of the matter is, they think the technology is getting so good that you won't see how corrupt they are. That's the new bait and switch. Nobody's going to see us. Nobody's going to put two and two together. Nobody's going to really hold the Uni-Party accountable. Nobody's going to primary John Thune. Why would you primary the Speaker of the Senate? Too powerful, too much money, too insulated, too many good connections, too many big, powerful friends. He's got he's got that all-American, middle-aged, statesman thing going on, the square jaw and the good vernacular. He speaks the King's English, and as soon as you turn your back, he's got a 12-inch knife in your back. How much are you going to take? How much longer? I mean, the Republican Party, the conservative movement is the only shot, the only hope that this country has of saving itself. Because we know what the Democrats are going to do. They've already gone over the hill, and their constituency, in many respects, believes in their lunacy, or at least they're too scared or too cowardly to fight against it. So we know where the Democrats are going to fall on this thing. They voted for Kamala Harris. They saw her for exactly who she was, and they voted for her anyway. It's like the WNBA, and this is a off-topic example, but it's like the WNBA saying they're going to go on strike if they don't get more money. Lunacy. I hate to say it, but people don't really like to watch you guys play, okay? I'm sorry. High school girls' volleyball games are more exciting than some WNBA games. I'm sorry. And I like women's basketball myself personally because I'm a basketball guy. But that being said, the numbers speak. You're watching the Royce White Show. We'll be back on the other side of the break. More on the Uni-Party in a moment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If anyone has told you that gaining weight, feeling tired, and struggling with nagging digestive and joint issues is just a part of getting older, they are wrong. My name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and after years of struggling with these same issues, I found a new way to support my health at home by making one simple change to my diet. It's called BioComplete 3. BioComplete 3 works by restoring your gut health from the inside out. This is a major part of how I lost 70 pounds and have kept the weight off for 25 years. It's not just me. This is working for everybody. Joe helped his gut health, and you can see the changes, not just how he looks on the outside, but how much better he felt on the inside.
I was 270. I'm now 140. It just feels amazing. Thank you, Dr. Gundry.
I helped all these people achieve incredible changes to their weight, their digestion, even their skin. And for a limited time, you can try BioComplete 3 risk-free for 90 days. Go to guthealthsecret.com.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post-9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I faced my PTSD, and I'm a better husband and father because of it.
We help warriors get the expert care and support to thrive.
I got involved. I got healthier. I got to be an athlete again.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/connect.
America stands at a turning point. The first 100 days of President Trump's administration will shape the future of our nation, and the stakes couldn't be higher. At AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, we're committed to holding Washington accountable. That's why we've launched the first 100 Days Tracker. This powerful tool tracks the administration and Congress as they work to deliver on promises that matter to you. Securing the border, strengthening our economy, defending our freedoms, and protecting Social Security and Medicare. Join millions of AMAC members across the nation who are staying informed, taking action, and making a difference. Join today for 5 years and receive 47% off. Stay informed, share your voice in our exclusive survey, and join the fight to protect America's future. AMAC, standing for your values, your freedoms, and your future.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast. Minneapolis, Minnesota really is the belly of the beast. I'm against all the conventional Democrats, the postmodern Democrats, some of the favorites that we love to hate. Tim Walz, Lieutenant Governor, now running for United States Senate. Peggy Flanagan, famous for the Protect Trans Kids t-shirt with the knife on it. Pretty nice lady there. Ilhan Omar, Angie Craig. Dean Phillips actually tried to come a little bit closer to the middle on things in the last election cycle. Some of his criticisms of Joe Biden and the Democrat party as a whole, their entire platform, he tried to push back on, and you got to take all of that with a grain of salt as well. But Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, two conventional far-left Democrats. And the crazy thing is there are Republicans in the state of Minnesota who obviously voted for him, who obviously voted for Amy Klobuchar. I don't know. Maybe it's my beard. Maybe my beard makes me look a little too Muslim for you. Yeah, I saw that on one of the live chats once. They said he should shave his beard. He should be clean shaven. Beard is not a look for a United States senator. He's never going to get people to vote for him. It's good. Live under Murkowski. Live under Mitch McConnell. He's clean shaven. He's real clean shaven. John Thune, real clean shaven. Kevin McCarthy, he had a nice clean shave on him. And all of these conservatives got real clean shaves, don't they? And you fall for it every time they come up, they smile. They got the pretty little American flag pin on their lapel, and they got a clean shave and a nice head of hair is brushed and cut and gelled, just perfect. And you all fall for it every time, and they rape you like there's no tomorrow. They just bend you over the barrel and they show you the 50 states. Knife in the back. And you gotta ask yourself, I mean, what is the appropriate amount of good looks, for lack of a better term? The sort of window dressing, the accoutrement. What is the amount, the appropriate amount of propaganda, really, that you'll accept to let somebody steal your money? Well, what is it? What is the standard? What's the measure? What's the level? I don't get it. I mean, it is probably one of the biggest indictments of the American people. And in that way, we've become a proto-communist and socialist country culturally, ideologically, philosophically ourselves, where we think, it's better for one of these experts, one of these political experts who comes from some relatively, a prestigious university with some credibility in the political or social sciences or business management. And we feel like if we just abnegate our citizenship and our civic duty to these individuals, then, maybe, just maybe life will be a little bit better. Like John Thune knows more about, American citizenship than you do. You got to start to believe in your own discernment. That's half the problem. You got to start to believe that maybe, just maybe, I know a thing or two about my own life, about my own community. Just maybe I got the balls to actually stand up to these Uni-Party hacks. They can walk in with their Republican Party backers and all the verticals, the donors, the mega donors. What do you think the mega donors are doing? You think these mega donors are backing these politicians to come and help you? Honestly, and there's a handful of mega donors that actually understand what's going on in this country, and they get it. Let's say, for lack of a better phrase, they get it. A handful. The rest of them are looking out for their own interests. Look at the Farmers Bureau here in Minnesota. Farmers Bureau, the one union, you could say, the one organization, so to speak, that aggregates the interests of the farmers from a more conservative lens, and you find that for some odd reason, I guess farming has no morals or ethics. Is that what, oh, well, Minnesota's such a big ag state. Oh, we got to protect the agricultural industry because it's such a big part of the Minnesota economy and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, you farmers, oh, what you think you get out of the moral and ethical implications of these politics? Is that what you think? Because you grow the corn? You think there's no morals and ethics in corn? You think what farming and agriculture is a more pragmatic endeavor? Has no cultural implications to it? And so you find yourself, endorsing Tom Emmer and Amy Klobuchar and Angie Craig. Oh, of course. Oh, and there's the Uni-Party again. And again, I'll never forget, for as long as I'm involved in politics, I'll never forget that Uni-Party neocon conservative operator Dustin Gragey said that anybody who's unwilling to pledge their eventual vote to the party nominee should be automatically disqualified from future support in any sort of convention setting where delegates vote to endorse a candidate. And he must be so full of his conservatism, his own conservatism. He must be so full of it that he forgets his own overlord there, Tom Emmer, was unwilling to pledge his eventual vote to a party nominee, which should mean in CD6, if anybody had the courage, which I actually would primary Tom Emmer, if I didn't think that there was such a crisis in the United States Senate and that the United States Senate needed just one more set of balls that was America first. If I didn't think that, I would primary Tom Emmer just for the fun of it, just to be able to get him on a convention floor and in a debate, honestly, because I know who he is too. And, oh, the president of the United States coming on in, State of the Union address, and there's Tom Emmer right behind him, with the upright stance and the smile, and he's clapping away. Yeah. Uni-Party. Uni-Party, Uni-Party. You got to say it 3 times like Beetlejuice because it's ugly, it's decrepit, and it's just hard to kill. It never dies. It never goes away. These people are everywhere. The only repellent, the only disinfectant for these people are you. You out there in the MAGA movement, you out there in the audience, you guys got to go into these Republican Party BPOUs, caucuses. You got to become the frontline shock troops of the movement. You got to stand up when you're in these BPOU Republican conventions and it's stale and it's Saturday morning like it is today. And, it rained last night here in Minnesota. We got that gloomy weather and everybody's a little tired. And, we're here. We're part of the Republican Party. We're doing our duty. You got to stand up when these people start to talk this Uni-Party trash. You got to say, wait a second. Do we support Donald Trump or don't we? So here in Minnesota, even again, I was at a SD 45 convention where Kathleen Folk, who ran for party chair against my own friend, the great Professor Penn, stood up, said, hey, I'll run for chair. I'll uphold Donald Trump's agenda. I'll support this America First and MAGA movement. Stood right up there and he gave the referendum to the body of delegates that were there in the convention. He said, you can vote to support Donald Trump or not. I support Donald Trump and the MAGA movement and what he's trying to do. My opponent, Kathleen Folk, doesn't support him. And she's on the record, on audio, saying, with quite a bit of conviction, I might add, I support Donald Trump. I support Royce White, but I will not say it in public. This is the beating heart of conservatism. This is the MO. This is the modus operandi of conservatism. I'm conservative in my mind, but in my heart, I don't have enough courage to say it in public. And so what are you people so afraid of? For all of this left-wing liberal lunacy that they say we have here in Minnesota, maybe I'm just different because I'm 6'8", 270. I cage fight for a living. Maybe I'm just different, but Nobody comes up to me and harasses me or insults me or attacks me because I'm a conservative or because I'm a Republican or because I support Donald Trump, wrote Trump lives, Trump 2024, Trump won on the side of my head. I live in Minnesota. I live in the Twin Cities, and I get nothing but people who come up and support me. What are you all so afraid of? You won't even stand up in your own BPOU conventions and say, this is BS. Cut the nonsense. This Uni-Party stuff is going far enough. This lukewarm conservatism is going far enough, but I know a lot of people have problems with it. They have problems doing that. And that's the crisis. When you look at the problem in this country, it's not, the Democrats, the liberals, they've gotten crazy. Yeah, they got crazy because nobody stood up and said, hey, this is crazy. What is going to stop? Wait a minute, what's going on here? Especially in a place like the Twin Cities, where the Republicans are just as liberal as the Democrats, for the most part. They believe in these foreign aid spending bills. They believe in, fighting Russia. I can't tell you how many pro-Ukraine Republicans there are in the party. It disgusts me. Don't know the first thing about Ukraine. All they do is listen to some Atlanticist academic like a Mark Levin or whoever else, some pundit, some commentator. Let's listen to, Dennis Prager about foreign affairs. It's like, we know what Dennis is going to say. Corey, I don't even have to tell you. Just give me a cue card. What was the question? I could tell you what Dennis would say about it. And I'm not saying Dennis isn't a smart guy, but I'm saying there's a clear dividing line, and the MAGA movement is going to have to hold that line. The line is about the globalist agenda versus the cultural wedge issues and keeping us focused on things like the money. And these 27 Republicans that voted with the Democrats to keep the spending at the exact same level that it was under Biden are the problem. And if you kind of tend to be more like them, you're a problem too. And I'm not afraid to say it. We'll be right back on the other side of a brief break. Stay tuned if you have the balls on this Saturday morning.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Weber, CEO of AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is at a crossroads, and the first 100 days of President Trump's administration will be critical in shaping our nation's future. That's why AMAC is proud to introduce the first 100 Days Tracker. Our tracker will monitor the administration and Congress as they work to deliver on the Make America Great Again agenda, ensuring progress on critical issues like sealing our borders, protecting your freedoms, and strengthening our economy. As an AMAC member, you'll receive daily updates and opportunities to take action. Together, we will hold our leaders accountable and celebrate the victories that make our nation stronger. Join the AMAC family today and be part of a movement driving real change. I look forward to welcoming you to AMAC.
Allergy season is Navage season.
So when you're dealing with allergies and you've got that stopped up feeling and you can blow your nose and it's a little bit better, using the Navage takes it all away. Put the water in the top chamber, put the pod in, close the lid, put it in your nose, push the button, you're done. It's natural, it's effective, it's fast, probably the best investment you could make if you suffer with allergies.
And for stuffy little noses, pick out the new Navage Baby Aspirator, now at Walmart in the baby department.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be seeing this. Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be seeing this. Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be using this. Particle 6-in-1 Face Cream for Men, the first of its kind anti-aging cream designed specifically for men. fights eye bags, dark spots, and wrinkles. Visit ParticleMen.com and use the promo code on your screen to receive 25% off your entire order. Plus, we've got free shipping and a 30-day money-back guarantee. www.ParticleMen.com. Because seeing is believing.
Is what I'm saying too difficult? Is it too hard to hear? Just tell me. I mean, if it's too hard to hear, I get it. I'm not your typical politician. I'm not your typical commentator. You know, I don't wear the typical attire. I don't wear the fancy cute little American flag pin on my lapel. And I got a set of tattoos here, like the great Pete Hegseth. I like Pete. I got to be honest. I do like Pete. We'll see where he comes down on this foreign spending stuff too, in terms of the DOD, the Pentagon, and how the Secretary of Defense, how it all plays out. But you know, we're moving into a different era of American politics where we need some people who are a little smash mouth. You know, lukewarm isn't going to. You know, I said it before and I'll say it again. If you think you're going to do Democrat light, two things can happen. You can trick enough constituents and what is perceived as a middle, you know, whatever that means, the center. You can trick some people into believing that you represent that corrupt status quo, and they'll never vote for you again. But then you have to become that. Then you have to become the lie. The only way it works is if you become the lie. And if you become the lie, you just so happen to often betray the real morals and ethics, probably upon which you ran, at least here in the conservative movement, the conservative party, Republican Party, MAGA movement. You know, it's very hard to go Democrat light. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. They're saying Michelle Tafoya may decide to run for U.S. Senate. And look, I like some of the things Michelle Tafoya has to say, but she's on the record saying that she's pro-choice. And I just don't understand that. And she didn't give a real explanation. She just kind of threw it out there. And again, she's one that you can find who is really anchoring their political identity on the cultural wedge issues. It's like Jason Whitlock, right? And God bless him, love him still to this day. We don't speak anymore. We don't see eye to eye. He went after my character, which he didn't want to do in any live debate setting because he know I would smoke him. Because he does baby food politics for his audience. And what's scary is there's a big audience out there that likes that. They tune in every day. Let's hear somebody else on the conservative side talk about how crazy the LGBTQ, BLM, and the feminist movement are. We all get it. We all get it. It's obvious. How long are we going to talk about it for? Another 10 years? Donald Trump's bringing the hammer down on the Department of Education. Any of this transgender stuff, you're not getting federal funding, period. All you judges who have corruptly waged these kangaroo courts against men with these women, these feminist women who this claim of, believe all women, we're coming down on you. And the judges should be ran against, at least in places where judges are elected and not appointed, which is a lot of places like here in Minnesota. And the BLM movement was already exposed for the LGBTQ fraud that it was. And they should have to pay the consequences, at least restitution. And I say only restitution because it's really hard to go after people for their financial crimes when your Department of Defense loses $6 trillion and nobody knows where it went. It's real hard to say, a BLM, they stole $150 million donor money, and you got the Department of Defense, the military-industrial complex, stealing so much money we can't even count it. So when we bring them up on charges, then we could come down on the BLMs even with an iron fist. And I'm not defending them. What I'm showing you is the cultural wedge issues. And Michelle Tafoya, just like a Jason Whitlock, wants to talk about that all day long. But let's see what they say about the military-industrial complex. Let's see what they say about the neocon, rhino, fiscal non-conservatism. They won't talk about it. And even on this I'm pro-choice. You can say you're pro-life and still have a nuanced opinion about the legal fight of Roe v. Wade. You can even say that you're pro-life and still have a nuanced and a legal opinion or theory about the fundamental and spiritual nature of abortion itself. And that's what good leaders should be doing. That's what novel statesmen should be offering the American people. not some cookie cutter, curated sort of amalgamated, reference to all of these tacit issues to try and see how I can bring together the best constituency or coalition. All of that that's childish. That's childish. And it's for a childish sentiment. It's for a childlike intellect. And we've accepted that in this country. And that's the problem with the country. And we'll have a bunch of Republicans in the state of Minnesota, for example, say, hey, Michelle Tafoya's got a better chance of getting elected because she said she's pro-choice. Even if it alienates the Christian base, who, oh, by the way, have your own set of problems. And when I said that the highest level of capitalism is just like communism, when you socialize all of the financial risk, the same thing is true when your faith institutions are in on the scam of all of the federal funding and therefore don't talk about political issues in your community. That would be the 501c3 status. That would be what I kept referring to on Jason Whitlock's show as the 501c3 Christians. And sure, we could say that a good portion of the communist mindset early on came from Christian communities where they did live in a more commune style in some Christian communities, early Christian communities, post-Enlightenment, European Christian communities. The difference is they had God and faith at the center of those communities. When you take the God and faith out and you leave the communism, you have problems. And so even some of your Christian communities reflect this type of decay, this type of degradation, or just a flat out lie. You take a tax-exempt status, you don't pay your taxes, all of a sudden none of these preachers or pastors or priests want to talk about politics. Are you kidding me? And then they got the audacity to try and berate and exile a great man like Archbishop Vigano. We better get our head on straight, and we better get our head on straight right now. Here's the answer to the abortion issue for all of my fellow Republicans out there. And Donald Trump led the way. Let me help you all with a little more nuance. No, we don't want to force people to believe in God because you can't. The fundamental of the Christian tradition and ethic is that it's a voluntary and willful submission to God. So you can't have a theocracy. There is no such thing as a Christian theocracy. It can't exist. It's fundamentally impossible because nobody who wants to force somebody to be Christian really understands what Christianity is all about. And you can make a strong case for that in the legal sense, in legal theory. And so I'm pro-life to the max, but at the same time, we don't want to force young women to believe in God. We want them to come into their belief and faith in God voluntarily, willfully, the same as we all are struggling to come into a full submission to God. Not just them. And what I often really can't stand is how the cultural wedge issues are waged even against the young women, sometimes young black women, a lot of times young black women, just statistically speaking, in these Democrat communities who we could be reaching out to and telling them the real issues about the money they're being scammed out of by their elected officials like Ilhan Omar, but we refuse to because we're caught up on the Roe v. Wade and abortion issue. And we go, oh, we're gonna throw all of the ills of our society onto the young black women who think, hey, I'm not ready to have a child right now. And they make those mistakes, and they often end up regretting those mistakes later on. They testify to that. This is not a new or shocking thing. However, that's not the bane of America's political existence or political reality. The bane of it is when you have people who stand up and wrap themselves in the cloth of Christ just to steal your tax money, and you let them do it. That's the problem in this country. That's the early sin of this country, wrapping yourself in the cloth of Christ for reasons that are far, far away from righteousness. And we still have it to this day. There'll be a bunch of Republicans that run in this cycle. The 4 Congress members here in Minnesota, I don't like any of them. Let's just get clear. All of this unity talk is for children. We're going to unify around the right ideas. Bring your beliefs to the table, to the town square, and let's talk about it in the public forum. I'm challenging them. 18 months out from the 2026 midterms, I'm challenging the 4 Congress members, and I know some of them had endorsements from Donald Trump, and I understand why they do it. I get the game. I'm not playing that game. Fishbach, Finstad, Stauber, Emmer, the 4 sitting Republican Congress members, come to the table, debate the issues. I want to hear it. I want to hear your novel opinions or ideas on any of these matters. You want to talk cultural wedge issues? Let's talk about them. Let's talk about where your real plan is to go into CD5, CD4, Minneapolis and St. Paul and get any new votes. Tom Emmer, Michelle Fishbach ain't helping anybody get any new votes in the Twin Cities. So what does her endorsement or support matter in the first place? The Star Tribune knows that. The Star Tribune knows that Michelle Fishbach's opinion doesn't have any weight here in the Twin Cities. They didn't ask her whether she would endorse me or not for the Twin Cities. They asked her whether she would endorse me or not for the people in her own district. And that's how when you go up to her district in the 2024 election, you end up finding that there was less people who voted for me than voted for Donald Trump. And they end up voting for Amy Klobuchar. This is how it works. This is how the game goes. We got pro-life, Christian, conservative Republicans voting for pro-abortion Amy Klobuchar in the state of Minnesota, and I'm the problem. No, I'm a problem because I don't allow for that kind of contradiction. I don't let people off the hook like that. I don't sit around and do the Minnesota nice thing and watch as people lie to the people and themselves. I'll say again, in outstate Minnesota, you have pro-life Christian conservatives and Republicans who voted for radical pro-abortion Amy Klobuchar. You tell me how it makes sense. You figure it. Matter of fact, you figure it out there. You figure it out. You let this be a warning to you. Watch your flanks. They're inside the wire. It's been another episode of the Royce White Show. We got the great Stephen K. Bannon coming up next with War Room. I appreciate your viewership and listenership today and in the future. Uni-Party, Uni-Party, Uni-Party. You got to say it 3 times like Beetlejuice. The fight continues. God bless America. Godspeed to you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday.
If anyone has told you that gaining weight, feeling tired, and struggling with nagging digestive and joint issues is just a part of getting older, they are wrong. My name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and after years of struggling with these same issues, I found a new way to support my health at home by making one simple change to my diet. It's called BioComplete 3. BioComplete 3 works by restoring your gut health from the inside out. This is a major part of how I lost 70 pounds and have kept the weight off for 25 years. It's not just me. This is working for everybody. Joe helped his gut health, and you can see the changes, not just how he looks on the outside, but how much better he felt on the inside.
I was 270. I'm now 140. It just feels amazing. Thank you, Dr. Gundry.
I helped all these people achieve incredible changes to their weight, their digestion, even their skin. And for a limited time, you can try BioComplete 3 risk-free for 90 days. Go to guthealthsecret.com.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com today and get 50% off.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post-9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I realized I could be successful in a civilian career.
We stand by warriors and advocate for their needs going forward.
They were by my side in the hospital, and they're still with me today.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/connect.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath & Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
this, it is performed.
Set on. And leave no ceremony out. Hey? Who called? Let every noise be still. Pete, yet again. Who is it in the press that calls on me? I hear a tongue shriller than all the music cry Caesar. Speak. Caesar's turn to hear. Beware the Ides of March. What man is that?
A soothsayer bids you beware the Ides of March.
Set him before me. Let me see his face. Hello, come from the throng.
Look upon Caesar.
What sayest thou to me now? Speak once again. Beware the Ides of March. He is a dreamer. Let us leave him.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honourable man, so are they all honourable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, he is an honourable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin, there with Caesar.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Saturday, 15 March, Year of our Lord 2025. It's the Ides of March, and that's our tribute annually, done the last couple of years, for the assassination of Julius Caesar, I don't know, over 2,000 years ago. Of course, It's relevant in that, and if you saw the meltdown last night, we'll get to play all the media, not just about the meltdown regarding Schumer's surrender on the Schumer shutdown, but also President Trump. President Trump going to the Justice Department. I told you what they were going to say. It was a desecration. It's a desecration. They were using that term all last night on CNN and MSNBC. You know, the three things besides the Capitol, it's the Kennedy Center and the Justice Department. It's like Trump's people are unworthy to set foot in there. Ever since we seized control of the Kennedy Center, you know, all these groups, you know, the Hamilton guys have quit. All these other musical groups have quit because Rick Cornell's canceled some of the more un-American and unappetizing programming. There's been a bunch of pushback. We told you that was like their high church, the deep state that runs Washington, D.C. And J.D. Takes his wife the other night. The Vice President of the United States goes to see a concert, Philharmonic concert, and he's booed. And I mean booed loudly by this pack of jackals is what they are. Grinnell comes out with a very nice statement that, where diversity is our strength. I think that was a heckle. But a very nice statement how they're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior, et cetera, et cetera. The other temple they have in the imperial capital is the main justice. And President Trump, according to them, desecrated that temple yesterday. And he threw down hard. If you look at the work that's unfinished, and he said, and I hope these investigations are underway. I think they are. I hope they are, because he gave him a big writ to go through as the chief magistrate. We had John Yoo on yesterday, the great public intellectual, about all things legal, and he talked about the end of Watergate. Remember, Jeff Shepard, we've had on here a couple of times, has these two books about the real Watergate, what really went on in Watergate, and it's not Woodward and Bernstein running around. And when you see that deep throat, in case you're not totally up on it, that was the deputy of the FBI, Mark Felt. That would be Dan Bongino. And Dan Bongino's last broadcast, if you didn't see it, you should. There's a great clip up there of Dan saying goodbye, at least for now, to his audience as he steps in Monday. Dan, or I'm sure he's there today, but Dan officially will be there on Monday. Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino's billet deputy was Mark Felt. That was Deep Throat. And he gave him a lot of inside information. I mean, essentially what those guys came with was almost nothing. I mean, the movie's fantastic, the book, but it's I'm not saying it's dramatized, but they came with nothing. But Shepard walks through. It was the same way they're trying to get Trump. A judicial insurrection. It was what Judge Sirica. And lawyers from the House committee and lawyers at DOJ working together. They actually did a thing called a roadmap. Since that time, in the legislation and the executive orders that came around post Watergate was hermetically seal off the Justice Department from the office of the presidency. This fight, and it is a fight, is this unitary theory of the executive, the unitary executive theory, which in the executive branch and what its powers are, particularly given the other branches, but even inside the executive branch itself, away from and over the administrative state and the deep state. That's what this fight is now. These judges are siding with the administrative state. It's both the Doge guys, what they're finding, plus OMB and other department heads are trying to downsize their, because you can't, it's not sustainable. It's not even a question whether it's sustainable or not. And we're being fought in the courts nonstop. And these court fights are not going to get solved